Hey guys, welcome to today's video where we are here to do a little buy this, not that. I'm going to compare some products. I have brow products, concealers, lip products, bronzers, powders, your favorites. Things that are popular right now, things that are hot right now. And I'm going to let you know which one is actually worth it, which one you should get between the two. So if that's what you're into, this is the video for you. But first, if you're new, hello and welcome. My name is Kelly and I love all things makeup and beauty. I love talking. I love makeup. I love talking about makeup. So if you would like to chat about makeup too, I would love to have you subscribe. I'm just makeup obsessed. So if that's your thing, if makeup is your jam, you're in the right spot. Let's go ahead and start talking about some makeup. All right, y'all. I have 10 products here. We are going to compare 10 products. I'm gonna let you know what's good, what is worth your money, and most of these products can be found at Sephora, so that's even better. I wanna start with brows. We're gonna start with brows because that's how I do my makeup first out of these makeup products, and I'm a brow pencil girl. Brow pencils are my jam, and I have been using 2 of them recently that I wanted to talk to you about. So first up is this one from Patrick Ta. This is technically called the Major Brow Defining Pencil, and I picked up the shade Blonde. This brow pencil retails for $27 at Sephora, and the thing that's nice about it is you do have a spoolie on one side, you have the part that you can twist up with the product, and this product is a very interesting shape. So it's a brow pencil, but it's almost in a little bit of like an oval shape, which I find to be very, very interesting. I notice when I do apply this, it's very smooth, very creamy. You do not have to press hard at all. You just lightly glide. I tend to glide underneath my brow and then fill in the brow hairs. I will say, because this is so smooth and creamy and you don't have to press it on and it just glides onto the brows, I find that I tend to use this up quicker than some of my other brow products. I do think the shade Blonde is good for me personally. If you're a redhead, my hair's more of like a deep auburn type of red, but I have a really, really hard time finding like the perfect brow shade for me that's gonna look natural and neutral, but this one is good. Blonde is a good shade match for me. It's a little bit lighter than the ABH that we're gonna talk about in a minute, but overall, I mean, I repurchased it. This is my second brow pencil. There's not much to show because I did use it up already. But then we have the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz, which I feel like has been a staple for years. I feel like ABH was kind of known for her brows. She branched out into eyeshadows and lipsticks and like all of the things. But initially, she was the brow queen, right? So her brow pencil retails for $25. With this brow pencil, the shape of the tip of the brow pencil is different than the one with Patrick Ta. Patrick Ta was more of an oval shape. The Brow Wiz is very thin, almost more of like a pen tip. Again, I like to go in and kind of line underneath my brows and fill in brow hairs. The thing that I will say about this one is that this brow product, it still glides on easily, it's still easy to apply, but it almost has a little bit more of a waxy texture. So it's not quite as creamy as the Patrick Ta. You're gonna have to kind of press a little bit. You have more wiggle room. If you're gonna press lighter, you're gonna get more of a lighter application. If you press a little harder, you're gonna get a little bit of a deeper application. And overall, I do find that both of these last well on my brows. But the ABH I can use for a little bit longer than the Patrick Ta because the Patrick Ta is so creamy and it goes on so smoothly. I tend to run out of it quicker than the ABH. This one will last me a little bit longer. I want to say the Patrick Ta is like 2 to 3 months for me maybe, whereas the ABH may be closer to like the 4 or 5 month mark. I mean, pretty much 2 to 3 times a year I'm purchasing brow products, right? With the ABH, the shade that is perfect for me is Caramel, and I will say Caramel is a better shade match for me than the Blonde. It is a little bit deeper, but it's like my hair color. It's like my hair color. ABH is what I'm wearing right now, and so if your hair color is very similar to mine, or if you are a redhead, you know, people try to make brow pencils for redheads and they come off a little bit orange, if you know what I mean. So the Caramel is the way to go, I would say, if you are a redhead or if you have a red tint in your hair and you're looking for something that's not gonna give you orange red, Caramel is the way to go. So if I'm comparing the two, I have repurchased both of them. I have used them both for probably 2 years at this point. Which one would I recommend? Again, the Patrick Ta is $27, the ABH is $25. I do like both of them, but if I had to choose one over the other, it's going to be the ABH for me. I do find that the ABH not only lasts longer, like shelf life wise in using it because it's not quite as creamy. The color caramel is just a little bit of a better match for me, and it is a little bit longer lasting on my brows than the Patrick Ta. Most recently when I had this Patrick Ta brow pencil, I noticed that the product would actually break easier and kind of fall out of the actual container, or I don't know what you would call this, the component. It would fall out of the component and I would have to push it back in. I have repurchased this one. I do think it's a good quality product, but when I was thinking about, okay, I used up Patrick Ta, which one do I want to purchase now? The ABH was the one that I went with. Next up is concealers. Both of the concealers that I'm going to share with you today can be found at Sephora, and both of them are hyped up. The one that's been around longer is from Pat McGrath. This is the, I think it's called the Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Concealer. I have the shade L5, and then we have the Natasha Denona Concealer, which is a little bit newer. I have the shade N4, and I like both of these concealers. You can get them both at Sephora. The Pat McGrath is going to run you $35. The Natasha Denona is going to run you $30. The Natasha Denona is newer in my collection. I'm on my first container of it, whereas the Pat McGrath, I have repurchased it. The Pat McGrath is an Old Faithful. I do have L5. I feel like L4 is a better shade for me. When I repurchased it, I just got the wrong shade. I really like the doe foot applicator of the Pat McGrath. It's not triangular, but it kind of narrows at the top and gives you a little bit of a round tip. You get a nice amount of product. I find this concealer to be very creamy. I do have dry under eyes, and I have darkness that I want to cover, like natural dark circles. I find the Pat McGrath is both hydrating and creamy. It goes on nice, it blends out, but it gives me the coverage that I'm looking for overall. The Natasha Denona is newer in my collection. I've been trying it out recently, and it is something, if you caught my testing viral new makeup products, that I initially loved immediately. Again, this one is also super creamy. You have the doe foot applicator, but this one does give you definitely more of that triangular tip where it comes up to a fine point, which for me, if you're really looking to get in these cracks and creases, this doe foot applicator is a little bit easier than the Pat McGrath because you do have that thin point. You also have a little dip inside the doe foot, which I find holds product, so you don't have to go back and forth inside the component a lot, which I find to be helpful because if you think about it, you already have base makeup on, so every time you're swiping on and going back in and pulling out, you're getting more makeup contamination. So I find that I can just kind of pull out, apply it onto the under eyes, and then put it back in. I don't need to go in for seconds or thirds or anything like that. I also find the Natasha Denona to be super creamy, but also pigmented. It feels very hydrating. It covers up those dark circles, but it leaves my under eyes looking nice and smooth and beautiful. So when we're talking about these two concealers, which one would I recommend? Again, the Pat McGrath is $34, the Natasha Denona is $30. And if I had to pick between the two of these, it's gonna be the Pat McGrath for me. This one is an Old Faithful. It is super creamy and hydrating. But the reason why this one won over the Natasha Denona is because I've been struggling with some eczema recently underneath my under eyes. That's not new to me. That's been going on for years and years. And I find when my under eyes are youthful and hydrated and dewy and glowy, the Natasha Denona looks great. It goes on smoothly, it's very comfortable to wear, it looks beautiful. But when I'm struggling with the dry, cakey under eyes, when I have texture underneath there, I find that the Natasha Denona does cling to it a little bit and it accentuates some of that texture, whereas the Pat McGrath does not do that for me. It gives me more of a smoother base, it looks very hydrating, and I don't have like dry, flaky patches that are poking out. So that's why Mama Pat won in this category. If you've been here for a while, you know cream products are not my thing. I am a powder girl. However, cream products are popular right now. It's what people want. The people want the creams. The creams are here. And so there are two very popular cream bronzers at Sephora. One is from NARS, and this one is called the Bronzing Cream. I have the shade Laguna 2, and then this one is from Rare Beauty, and it is the bronzer stick, and I have the shade Happy Soul. Again, both of these can be found at Sephora. The NARS is $40, whereas the Rare is only $26. So definitely a hefty price tag. I picked up the NARS cream bronzer after Lauren May Beauty recommended it to me. I did a video about a year ago. I think I want to do another one soon, but I did a video about a year ago where I was trying out some of my girlfriend's favorites. I had just met Lauren at the Creators and Friends in Charleston. She recommended this bronzer to me, so I tried it out. And the thing that I like about this is that It's a cream bronzer in a jar, so it's easy for me to like tap my brush in and kind of put it on my face. I don't have to apply directly to my face like you do with the Rare Beauty, but that means there's some back and forth. I'm taking a brush, I'm dipping it in, I'm putting it on my face, I'm taking a brush, I'm dipping it in, I'm putting it on my face. I do like to go in with a brush instead of just a sponge. I'm a sponge girl, I prefer a sponge, but I like to go in with a brush and apply it, blend it out, and then go in with my sponge on top. I find it to be creamy, I find it to be pigmented and blendable. One reason why I'm not a huge fan of creams is because I am a blender and an over blender, if you want to say that. It's easy for me to over blend, but I don't have a hard time with this product. I'm able to get it on my face and I'm able to blend it out, but I don't find that I am over blending and the product itself is not disappearing on my face. So then we have Rare Beauty, the bronzing stick, and this one I've had a little bit longer than the NARS. Again, it is more of a cream product. It's not liquid, but this one is in a stick. And so when I do apply this, I just kind of paint it directly on my face. The thing that's different about this one is I can apply it with a brush if I want to, or I can apply it with my sponge if I want to. It's harder for me to get my sponge in the NARS. It's real easy when I just apply this directly on my face. If you're not into that for hygienic reasons, again, you can take this and kind of paint it onto your brush and go onto your cheek that way, but I just swipe it on, okay? I just swipe it right on there. This one also blends in nicely. It doesn't blend away though. I'm able to blend it in. I'm able to get it to kind of look beautiful on the face. I'm able to get an even application, and it's easy for me to go in and just kind of put where I want more product. So when it comes down to these two, again, keep in mind, I'm not a cream connoisseur, okay, by any means, but I do have both of these. The one, oddly enough, that I am more likely to reach for is the NARS. I don't know why that is. It's double the price, $40 versus $26. But when I'm going in with a cream bronzer, I always go in with a powder on top. The one that I'm reaching for more often than not though is the NARS. I feel like maybe it lasts a little bit longer on the skin. I don't know what's different about a tube product versus a product in a jar, but for me, this one lasts a little bit longer. The shade match is honestly pretty similar. They're both neutral, which is what I appreciate and enjoy, but this one just goes on nicely. It's a little bit more pigmented. It blends out, but it doesn't blend completely away. And if I had to come down to it, if I had to declutter one and keep one, Rare Beauty would go out the window and I would keep the NARS. But do keep in mind, if you're balling on a budget and you do want a cream bronzer, I do think the Rare is very good. It stayed in my collection. I decluttered a lot of products over the years. I got rid of my Charlotte Tilbury cream bronzer. So that tells you something. This is a good product, but just for me personally, I'm going with the NARS. So that brings us to powder. And for the powder products, I do have two products here, but only one of them is found at Sephora, and that is the Givenchy Prisme Libre. I have the shade 3. The other powder that I wanted to talk to you about today is from Sigma Beauty, and it is the Soft Focus Setting Powder. Mine is in the shade Vanilla Bean. Keep in mind, I have dry skin. When I am powdering, I'm only powdering underneath my eyes and my forehead lines. Every now and then, if I need to, I'll kind of clean up my contour a little bit, or if it's, you know, I live in Texas. If it's hot and humid and I need a little extra, I will go in with a little bit extra, but for the most part, I'm not using this loose powder to powder my whole face. I'm only using it to powder underneath my under eyes. The Prisme Libre has taken off. Everybody and their mother are talking about this product. They're using it. It has the 4 different quadrants where you get a nice pink bright under eye, but the Prisme Libre is going to set you back $60, y'all. $60. I will say, I don't use the little puff that comes with the product. I like to apply my powder with a sponge, a damp sponge at that. I feel like it gives me a little bit more of a flawless finish and some hydration. I do overall enjoy this powder. I think it's really nice. It does a great job of giving me like a blurred effect underneath my eyes. I do find the pink to be very brightening, and it's giving me a smooth surface, a smooth canvas, but it's not dry and cakey. Even with the crusty under eyes that I've been having with my eczema, it's not sticking to those dry patches. It's not accentuating them. It's just giving me a nice smooth base that makes my makeup look flawless. So that brings us to Sigma. The Sigma powder is going to set you back $32. So again, another one where it's like half the price of the Prisme Libre. This one is very, very finely milled. It comes in different shades. Like I said, I have Vanilla Bean, which is not going to give you the pink under eye. If you're looking for the pink under eye, the Prisme Libre has that for you. The Sigma is going to give you a nice, finely milled under eye, and I do find that it is true to the name, soft focus effect. When I apply this again with my damp sponge and put it underneath my eyes, it definitely gives me a more smooth looking canvas, almost like I've been filtered, but like in real life. It also does not accentuate any dryness. It also does not cling to those crusty, dry under eye patches that I've been struggling with. And overall, it's a very nice powder. So when it comes down to these two powders, if I had to pick one over the other, I think I would go with the Sigma one. And the reason why I'm saying that is just because I feel like it's a little bit more hydrating than the Givenchy. I don't think the Givenchy is drying. I don't think it irritates my under eyes or anything like that, but I do find that the Sigma gives me a little bit more hydration. I like dewy, glowy skin. I don't want to completely mattify. And so I feel like the Sigma does a better job because it is so finely milled of just kind of helping my makeup to sink into the skin and stay on without fully mattifying, giving me that soft filter focus effect and really making my skin look beautiful and glowy, but also making it last. So again, I don't think you could go wrong with either one of these, but keep in mind the Sigma is half the price and it's a beautiful powder. Now you guys might be saying, whoa, Kelly, what just happened to your lip color? Why did it randomly change? Because for the last category, I had to talk about lips, y'all. I had to. I'm a lipstick junkie. I recently filmed my Holy Grail lip combos. It was a collab with my friend Samantha March. I will have that linked down below if you want to check it out. But two lip brands that I love, that I know and love oh so well, are Natasha Denona and Charlotte Tilbury, and both have released new lip products recently. Natasha Denona came out with the Berry Pop collection, and Charlotte Tilbury came out with her new Pinks and Reds collection. So the product that I was wearing first in the majority of the video was the new Charlotte Tilbury. She came out with some new shades of her liners. These are her lip cheats. I got the shade 90s Pink. These lip cheats are gonna set you back $25. And then she came out with the line of reds and pink lipsticks. I ended up going with Icon Baby, which is a very light pink, and you have like the light pink packaging. These lipsticks are gonna set you back $35. Now, one thing I wanna say about the Icon Baby, I probably should have paid attention to this before I purchased it, but I did not. The Icon Baby does have a little bit of shimmer and sparkle in there. Some people have been saying that it feels gritty and irritating on their lips. Others have said that theirs is fine and it feels like nothing on their lips. What I will say, when I apply this, I can feel the grit as I'm rubbing it along my lips. But once it's on my lips and I'm pressing my lips together, I no longer feel it. It almost gives me more of a like metallic finish or a metallic look to the lips when it's applied, but I no longer feel the grit or the glitters in it once it's on my lips. I think Icon Baby is the only one that has that texture in it. So if you're not into that, keep that in mind. But I'm very familiar with Charlotte Tilbury lipsticks. I have the Kim KW, I have Very Victoria, and now this pink shade. Natasha Denona also recently came out with this Berry Pop collection. That is what I changed into. You have the lip liner, which is going to set you back $24, and the lipstick, which is going to set you back $27. So both of these are just slightly more affordable than the Charlotte Tilbury, but definitely a very similar price range when you're thinking about it. Now, the one thing I will say about this lip liner over the Charlotte Tilbury, both of them are comfortable on the lips. I will say that. But the Charlotte Tilbury feels a little bit waxier, whereas the Natasha Denona is a little bit creamier. When I say creamier, I mean that it glides on smoothly and it lasts on the lips, but I don't think that it lasts quite as long as the Charlotte Tilbury. It's not gonna move around, it's not going to bleed, but it is not quite as long lasting. The Charlotte Tilbury, again, it is nice going on, it is smooth going on, it is creamy going on, but it does have a little bit of a waxier feel and not quite as shiny and shimmery as the Natasha Denona, which means that it lasts longer for me. Then you have the Natasha Denona lipstick. This one you can see has a nice shine to it. There is no grit, there is no like glitters or texture when you're applying it, but you get a nice even sheen. The Berry Pop lipstick formula reminds me very much of the Natasha Denona My Dream. I love the My Dream. Again, if you watched my Holy Grail lip combos, you'll see that I talk about that lipstick in there because I do really like the shine and gloss that it gives me without actually putting a gloss on. It gives my lips like a juicy vibe, right? That I really, really love and enjoy. And for a bullet lipstick, I mean, it lasts, especially if you have this berry color. It's gonna last on you. So when comparing these two products, which one should you get? Which one is worth it? In my opinion, I'm gonna go with Charlotte Tilbury. I like the Charlotte Tilbury because it's not quite as creamy as the Natasha Denona. I haven't had the issue yet with my Berry Pop collection, which is new, but with my Natasha Denona My Dream, because it's so creamy and gives me that shine and so smooth, sometimes when I take it out with me in the Texas humidity, it has melted it a little bit and my lipstick's doing a little bit of a gangster lean. Again, the Charlotte Tilbury, a little bit more long lasting because it's not quite as creamy, but it is still creamy and comfortable on the lips. Now I will say, I'm not a huge fan of the Icon Baby. If you're really into the pinks, 90s pink, it's a great way to go. I love the lip liner formula. It definitely is a holy grail for me, but I think I would pick a different shade in the lipstick. Again, I didn't do my research well enough, so I didn't realize Icon Baby was the one with the glitters in it. I don't think I would have picked it. I'm not gonna declutter it. It's not irritating me or bothering me, but the Charlotte Tilbury lipsticks in general are a favorite for me because they're very long wearing, especially for a bullet lipstick, because they are comfortable on the lips and they're not drying or irritating. So for me, Charlotte Tilbury is the way to go. But that is going to do it for this video. I hope that you found it helpful. I wanted to try out a buy this, not that, because I know for me personally, especially when you have products that are very similar, like I wanna know which one is the perfect one for me. We can't always buy all of the makeup, although I would love to. So I hope that you found this helpful. I hope that it gave you some clarity as to which products I prefer, but also why I prefer them. If you like this style of video, it's super helpful. If you like the video, if you comment, if you share it, that lets me know that you want more of this style. Also, if you have other products that you want me to talk about, like 2 products that are kind of similar, let me know down below. Like, I'm happy to do more of these to compare them for you and to let you know my thoughts and what is good. But that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you're subscribed before you go. That way I can see you in the next one. Bye.